All right, my name is Joshua Arce. I'm a civil rights attorney working for all of us. I'm someone who spent my entire life committed to social justice. My wife Lisa is an immigration defense attorney specializing in stopping deportations. She and I are raising two children, two boys in the heart of the Mission District, 24th and Harrison, where we've spent the better part of a decade seeing what the status quo in City Hall has done to our community and seeing what a decade of disappointment in which there was lots and lots of talk about affordable housing, but in which not a single unit of housing affordable to working class families, to workers, to teachers, to artists, to all of us trying to make it, folks stuck in the middle, low income. It's led to an affordability crisis. It's led to a homelessness epidemic on our streets. It's led to displacement of Latino families all around us. It's led to the loss of everything that is so special about our community, my district, in the Mission. It's led to, we now have property crime. We have, everything is all connected to one another in this decade of disappointment. So I'm running for supervisor because the status quo has failed in City Hall. The status quo has failed at every level, from the mayor to the board of supervisors to the supervisor staff to the dog catcher, everybody in between. And so when I found out, as someone who, my background, who actually builds affordable housing, as someone who helps people get jobs to stay in the city, particularly disadvantaged workers, formerly incarcerated workers, limited English speakers, who helps people to get the wages and benefits they need to working in the labor movement. Someone who chaired the city's Environment Commission and fought the George Bush administration EPA for failure to regulate power plants and actually shut down power plants in our communities, who kept the coal companies out of the port when they wanted to come into the port, then they went to San Francisco, or they went over across the bridge to Oakland, helped stop them there. As someone who's done this work and who believes in our community, to know that when I heard that the person who's been running the District 9 office was going to run for supervisor during this decade of disappointment, people throughout our community said it can't happen. We can't have more of the same. We need to change things up in City Hall. So I'm coming, and I was just as you were coming in, Glenn, I was reading a post somebody said, because we talk about labels. There's progressive, moderate, liberal, there's this and that. I do what I do. I work with tenants. I've represented tenants for the past 15 years since I got out of law school in fighting unlawful detainer evictions, in fighting against, when we win, we go for wrongful eviction. I work with tenants just up the street here at Midtown Park Apartments. A year ago, we organized what's now become the longest rent strike in city history, marched on the mayor's office to demand a hold on rent increases, which have been kept at bay, and help keep people in their homes. I represent each and every public housing tenant council in our district. That's 450 families from Bernal Dwellings to Holly Courts, all the way up to Alamany. I work with workers. I work with people who are struggling to stay in the city, as I mentioned, people that build roads, build parks. And I work with families. My wife and I, we crafted a resolution at the Democratic Party, which is the first standing up for the sanctuary city policy in the face of the anti-immigrant attacks from Donald Trump, etc. And so I'm running because on the critical things of our district in which the status quo in City Hall has failed us all these years, housing, jobs and addressing income inequality, and environment, which includes everything from sanctuary city to continuing the path to meaningful police reform, to all these things that create a safe and healthy environment. The status quo has failed. I'm running to bring change to City Hall. You can't put a label on it. I just had a great post of somebody who says, how do you call somebody anything less than progressive who's done these things around environmental justice, around tenants? The difference is to win, and we've never lost anything that I've worked on. We bring everybody to the table and we find a way to move forward, deliver progressive policy change, whether that's the strongest local hiring policy in the country, which it now is, working with Supervisor Avalos 5 years ago, whether it's around a rent strike that has kept families in their home, whether it's working to actually build affordable housing and to get the most affordability possible. The other candidate in this race is taking thousands of dollars from lobbyists for developers and people that are coming in to gentrify the Mission. District 9 is not for sale. I don't take money from developers, nothing from lobbyists, nothing from the cops, all the controversial figures and such. I'm running a grassroots campaign, and what's interesting is it's meant that my opponent has raised a ton of more money than us. But the thing is, and I'll tell you this, whatever you want to call, whatever word it is for our coalition, you get a little bit of a sense of the diversity of our coalition. We're black, brown, Asian, white, we're homeowners, renters, public housing, LGBTQ, straight, everything there is There really isn't a label for it, but I'll tell you what it isn't. It isn't the status quo. It isn't the failures of those who have represented us for the past 6 years, and I'm running against the person that ran that office all this time. It's new, it's bringing change at City Hall, and it's what people at District 9 are looking for. So thank you for the chance to be here.
So.